All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the Pinball Post. This is episode 23 tonight. Again, we've had a crazy week. Lots of new pinball news. It happens every week. We got stuff that just piles on top of itself. I can't even keep the thumbnail up to date leading up to the show every single week, especially on Wednesdays. Like Wednesday has been good for news, so that's been a really good change. But yeah. Welcome everybody, Pinball Wizard. Evening everyone. I appreciate the call for thumbs up. That's always great. Rigel as well. Able to join live tonight. Awesome, man. Good for you, man. Good to have you here. A lot of love. Welcome. Got to give you the the surfer wave or whatever that is. I love it. Rodley Smith, welcome. Leon, Soggy Bacon. Looking forward to some pinball. Hardly had any time this week. Oh, me too, man. I've been kind of busy with a lot of stuff going on. And Dennis B, welcome, everybody. All right. Well, let's get started. Ryan Gong, welcome to the stream as well. So let's get started. We got lots to cover tonight. We got to break down some really big topics this week that happened. So stuff that's really kind of elephant in the room stuff that really has to be talked about. Some controversy surrounding some of the Zen news with the Blahcade interview and things like that. We have a new release this week. We have reactions we got to get to, so there's lots to cover. So let's get into it. First off, I want to say a huge appreciation and thank you to this entire community for what happened this week. Believe it or not, I just passed 700 subscribers, and that is all thanks to you guys. I really appreciate all the love and support that I have received through YouTube, through Discord, and through other means, TikTok that I streamed on last week, and even a little bit of Twitch here and there. So thank you so much for all the love and support. I really appreciate all you. I appreciate that everybody takes just a little bit of time out of their week just to listen to pinball and be a part of this amazing community. So thank you for that. I just definitely wanted to point that out, that you guys have made this channel a success with everything that you are and everything that you do. So thank you so much. I definitely wanted to acknowledge that. That's huge to me. I wasn't that long ago. I was like 150 and it just kept on going. So 500 and oh man, it's just been incredible. So anyway, thank you for that. And we'll get started with the actual news. So lots to cover. So we're going to start off with some real pinball news. There's just one little thing this week that I thought I had to cover. And I want to get into it, and let's see what your guys' reactions to this are. So, if you guys have not seen this on Facebook, this is crazy. So here it is. I did mute it because there is some language in here, so I decided to mute it out, but you go ahead and definitely check this out. This is Godzilla Pinball. Somebody, again, apologize for the language here, somebody put a keg in Godzilla Pinball. Now this is in Australia, believe it or not. Somebody got mad, had a keg available, and just threw it at Godzilla. And this is the table. This is the aftermath of that table. That is absolutely insane. It's heartbreaking and quite frankly disgusting that people cannot control themselves. I don't know if there was just a keg laying around close by. There was a lot of speculation that this was AI, just because it was originally just some imagery, and they went back and released the camera work here where they're actually showing it off a little bit. You could see there's some legitimate damage here. The rails are completely bent down, and this thing is absolutely annihilated. So it almost looks like ice. It's funny. It looks like somebody just took a bag of ice and just poured it in there. And maybe that's part of some of the ice that, maybe there was ice on top of the keg that got poured in there as well. But it is tempered glass, so it does tend to just shatter like that. So I think they like to drink in Australia. That's not AI. No, it is not, Ryan Gong. They actually had to post this because people thought that it was. And the real sick part about this is they actually said here that apparently they had to close down their barcade during this event. Obviously, it scared the staff. It made his kid cry. They had to assess for damage. They didn't know how volatile this person was. So I understand pinball can be a physically demanding game in a way. Sometimes emotionally, you're kind of on the edge of things, and you tilt away a bonus or something, you're going to get really upset. But man, this kind of behavior is completely unacceptable. So I hope whatever happens here gets addressed, that they find some peace in the aftermath of all of this, and things get straightened out. But this is absolutely insane. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. I hope that this kind of stuff does not happen all that often. You certainly don't see it, but it's sad, man. I mean, Godzilla is a great game. It's a newer game, so that dude went full tilt. You're not kidding, man. Pinball Wizard, you aren't kidding, dude. And apparently they throw things when they drink. Pinball Wizard again. 700 subscribers. Yeah, thank you, Rigel. I appreciate it, man. That's a hell of a nudge, Soggy Bacon. Yeah, you're not kidding, man. So that was kind of the story with that this week. That's all the new pinball news that I have. There really wasn't a lot of stuff going on. I know there's a new fix for the Fall of the Empire that's shipping out now that people are talking about. It's basically a little piece of sheet metal that's actually being sent out. So if you have a Fall of the Empire Star Wars pinball game, you can contact Stern and they'll actually ship that out to you and get that installed on your system. So if that's something you're having issues with that Death Star shot, let them know and they'll take good care of you. Okay. Whoops, sorry about that. Switch over to other news of the week. So a couple different things. So this week we're going to cover the metrics like we always do. Just a quick brief. That tops gnome throwing. Pinball Wizard, that is taking shots at Soggy Bacon. I guess he was apparently pretty upset. He threw a garden gnome. I think we talked about that a few weeks ago. This here is the metrics for this following week up until the 5th, which was 5 days ago. So the average resolution time, I think last week was almost a week, and it's come down to 4 days and 13 hours. So we always like to post this. We like to be transparent with this kind of stuff. Are they getting better at things, or are they just knocking out the backlog? Who knows? Either way, it sounds like things are going better, at least as far as the metrics go. So we'll see. If you guys are still having issues with metrics, please let me know. We want to try to get you guys all taken care of. So anything we can do to make it public and make it something that gets talked about and gets fixed, that's what we want here. So they didn't use the Kensington lock on that keg. I don't even know what that is, Ryan Gone. I don't know what that is. Maybe I should. I need to look that up. This week we had, so our Flipper Friends event this week is 3 incredible games. They're not great games, okay? Not great games. I do like Chack and Pop, so we have some news about Chack and Pop too. But Baby Shark, obviously baby mode can be exploited. We've talked about that ad nauseum. It's definitely being exploited this week. If you look at the scores at Phil Pal, we're going to look at there in a second. It is absolutely insane. And Cat in the Hat, very difficult game. Very bouncy physics, very tight to the bottom of the play field. You can get into a multi-ball pretty easily, I found out, during my Flipper Friends event on Saturday mornings that I did at 11 o'clock. I've been trying to play the Flipper Friends games every week. So I was able to put up a pretty decent score on that. But the Baby Shark is absolutely murdering me as far as scoring this week. So if you are doing really well in Baby Shark, there's probably a reason for that. PSA, if you didn't have a micro HD, you should pick one up now for $289. Yes, we're going to get to that, Soggy Bacon. That is an incredible deal. We're going to get to that here in just a moment. Next up is the recap for the week. So we've been getting these recaps of people shooting up the IFPA ratings and going up and down. Now this is the recap of the positives. So it basically covers the All Legends series, which is basically our unified Flipper Friends events. You can see here we have quite a few different players. Spectre Gaming, who's probably in the chat. Is he here yet? He is not. He went up 15 spots this week in the overall world rankings for that. So that was really cool. You got Leon Spiegel here at number 7, who did really awesome. He's a change of 4 spots as well. Tierney did really well. Duger 777. We got some really good players here shooting up the ranks, and it's really cool to see. What the things that are interesting on here to me is that they say we now have 1,500 players now on the leaderboards. So that is a number that is a lot higher than it was in the past. And 130 new owners have joined the rankings. So I don't know if those are people that have bought HDPs as of recently or new micros, for example. Micros have been on sale. Obviously, Soggy Bacon just mentioned that as well. Great deals on those things. So if you do not have a HD micro or you don't have a VPN at all, that is a really good option. They are on sale right now. And it's an awesome system, especially for the holidays, too. So with that, here is the winners for the week. I'll zoom this out just a little bit here so you guys can see it. So we had a lot of familiar names on here. We got Sacro, we got Italian Beef that we know from the Mox's Discord. We got Skoljo in here, Wingo. Lots of players in here that we've known. So really cool to see. Kevin Stevers was one of the guys who was on the recap board, is going up in the ranks big time too. So he's had one heck of a week. He won a gift card and got up in the ranks. So that was really cool to see. Maybe I'd better cram some Flipper friends on the last day tomorrow. Dennis B, hey, you might want to consider it, man. There's definitely some gift cards to be had. And it seems like I think Wild Blizz has won 3 times in a row. Seems like. I know Skoljo's won a couple. So definitely there's some people that, and these are completely random, but they are, we do have to have some, there has been some repeat winners. So it is what it is. Pretty cool to see, but Flipper Friends just continues to keep on keeping on. So really cool. All right, let's jump over to the Phil Pal and we'll look at the rankings for this week. I'll show you mine and then we can look at the top 10. That's really what I'm not so worried about mine necessarily, but this is the Phil Pal for this week. I'm currently 12th. So Chack and Pop's pretty good scores, 1.7 million. This is the game that has a scoring bug in it that we're going to talk about. Cat in a Hat, again, 128 is just not good enough. That's 20th on the rankings right now. There's a lot of good scores in here. 753 million points on this thing is just insane. So Leon, you're doing really good in here as well. Spartacus, Ryan Bethesda is a great player. Sacro, 6-strand ping is always up there. Wizard 626. These guys, some of these guys you don't see in the Discords. We don't see them on YouTube, but they just continue to crank out amazing scores. So, yeah, if you start now, it might take you a while. I've heard Spectre Gaming say he took as long as 6 hours to play Baby Shark to get his top 10 score on that. So here's the Baby Shark scores. Look at this thing, man. He 8.8 billion with a B points on Baby Shark. So Spectre Gaming is the one that I mentioned. He's at 4.6 billion, and that he says he took about 6 hours on that. So correct me if I'm wrong. That is a lot of time. Now, granted, you're gonna have to pause, probably go eat, go to the bathroom, get some hydration, come back. Some go by different names on Discord. You are right, Pinball Wizard. You are right. But yeah, you can definitely spend some time on the game for sure. Here's the top 10 for the week. Skoljo is right in the first place, tied with Spartacus right now. 146 points of the available 150. Awesome scores. Obviously, they're swapped number ones in one place or another there. Pinball Wizard, you can play so many Zen games in 6 hours. You are so right, man. It doesn't matter what you play. I mean, there are some Zen games it'll take you a few hours. Tomato Grass can attest to that. I've seen some really high-end gameplay on some of those, but definitely, yeah, it's crazy, man. Flipper Friends just continues to impress in crazy ways, and it's just incredible, quite frankly. Okay. This week we do have to talk briefly about VR, the reactions to the VR release that happened last week. This one here. So we have Charlie Brown Christmas, which is a game that we played on the Daily Grind last week as well. This one came out for VR. I think this one's actually really, really fun. It actually, in one of the modes, it actually snows and gets heavier and heavier snow during the game. I think that's really cool. The one thing I will say about VR that I'm really missing is it does not have the sound effects integration. And so what I've been playing, I only bought Charlie Brown and I bought the Monster Bash collection with Creature from the Black Lagoon. I have not bought Godzilla yet, but I will say the lack of that sound effects kit really hurts it right now. I'm hoping that the haptics kit will take care of some of that. But there's that right orbit shot there that just... it sounds so amazing with the piano playing on the 4KP, and I just do not get that on VR, so it's kind of disappointing. Let me know what your guys' thoughts on these games. If you've bought them, if you've played them. I know Dennis B, you've been playing. I know Jabba's been playing them quite a bit. Really enjoying VR since I got it. I spend most of my time doing campaign mode. Really, Dennis B? I never play campaign mode. I think I've done it just a handful of times. Upgrade to the Meta 3 for VR. Yeah, I got the Meta 3, and I absolutely love it. The other games we have, there is Godzilla. We talked about Kong. This is an interesting shot of Kong there. So you have Godzilla here, you have Kong. Godzilla versus Kong is an okay game. I do think this one's a little bit better in VR than I remember it being on the 4KP. It is a Thomas Crofts game, which is a 3-flipper game with a tough crossing shot. I generally like his titles. My Little Pony, Garfield, Brother in Arms. This one I'm not a big fan of. So, one disappointing thing that I did find out is the Kong table. Gravity inversion. So on the 4KP, when you get into the gravity inversion mode, the whole table flips around 180 degrees, and the flippers are at the top of the screen, and they flip sides of the flippers as well. In the VR version, the table doesn't flip around; it just flips the flippers. When you hit the right flipper, it flips the left, and vice versa. So it's a little different, a little disappointing. I don't know that you could do that any differently in VR, to be honest, without actually making people sick by spinning the table around. Less lag is one of the biggest draws to VR for you, Soggy Bacon. Meta 2 is blurry, makes me want to puke. Wow, okay, that's pretty bad. For me, VR was all about the pancake lenses on the MetaQuest 3. Obviously, I wear glasses, so I had to get prescription lenses. And I dropped those things in there, and those pancake lenses, the headset doesn't need to be exactly on your head, just perfect. And it's such a wonderful, beautiful experience. I've been very, very happy. How do you control the buttons in VR? It's just the triggers. So if you're using the actual control sticks, it's just the triggers, which seems weird because there's a little bit of a pull gap before you actually hit the flipper, and yet there's still no lag. Pretty weird. Or, in my case, I also have the X Arcade, so I do that on there as well. You plug the dongle into your VR headset, and then tap the flippers, and you're off to the races that way. So, gravity inversion on the 4KP was a top 10 moment for me. So cool. That's awesome, Soggy Bacon. That's what I'm saying, man. There is some really good stuff for that. I did the same as you, Retrotex. Only got Universal Monsters and Charlie Brown Christmas. Yeah, I think we talked about that last week. I think a lot of people, Mikey Yoon talked about it too. He might show up here a little bit later too. There was a lot of discussion about that, and so maybe that's kind of what people are thinking. And then later on, so we got Monster Bash. Monster Bash is a great game. We all love and play that one quite a bit. So, and then Creature from the Black Lagoon. Now this one's very different. My reaction to this one is it plays very, very different than the 4KP version, which is in many ways, I think, broken. If you play the 4KP version, the ball is incredibly heavy. We've seen that type of thing on Pinbot. You've seen it on Bride of Pinbot this week with the new releases that we got. The physics are incredibly heavy on that. And so Creature from the Black Lagoon in particular plays way differently. It's much more difficult. Just even doing the move your car shot is much more difficult. To settle that ball down on that right flipper when it does the kick out and then just throw it up through there. It's the same shot. Like, you're still doing a 33% shot to go through the move your car shot. But to settle down that shot is very difficult, and to consistently hit that shot without the bounce can be pretty difficult at times. So yeah. It is interesting to see how they play. I think they play really well. I'm not huge on the graphics on Monster Bash necessarily with Drac, but VR has been what it is, so pretty cool to see. And then we talked about the collections and stuff like that last week. But VR impressions has been very interesting this week. There's been a lot of people seemingly have picked it up recently and really started to really enjoy it, so that's been really cool. Dennis B says, oh yeah, you have to unlearn bad habits from the 4KP to play Creature. Once you adjust, I'm finding it not too hard to play. And that's just it. Maybe I'm not playing enough. I don't play a ton of VR. I try to play it. I'm really kind of waiting for the haptics kit at this point. I'm really missing the haptics. I'm missing the plunger. It's been really, really hard to play that when I have the 4KP and even the HDP as well. You noticed I flipped these again this week. I'm back to streaming from the 4KP, and I'm doing vertical streaming from the HDP. So there's been some stuff there. But at any rate, yeah, VR reactions have been pretty good, I think. Everybody seems to like it. There was a lot of talk about in the Blahcade interview, so we're going to talk about that here in a minute too. But let's talk about this real briefly. So since this is par for course this week, Chack and Pop received a patch today. I don't know if you noticed this. Super excited about this one. I just happened to turn on the HDP tonight, and I noticed that Chack and Pop had a orange spot on the App Store X today. I'm like, oh, that's an update. So I updated the game, and lo and behold, there is no longer a bug.
We found out today, and I'm just seeing it now on the HDP, that Chack and Pop now has an update. So Chack and Pop.
So there you see the update.
Had a scoring bug where the drop targets didn't come back up, and I can report
updated today at 5 o'clock. So about 20 minutes before I did this video.
Not come to the 4KP yet. That would be part of Taito Pack.
So we'll jump ahead.
And the light is off. When I hit the slingshots, the target no longer comes, or the light no longer comes back on. See the difference there? So this is a patch that has fixed the scoring for Chack and Pop. This is an awesome.
See, when the ball used to hit those slingshots, it used to kick that light on up here in the drop target zone here. It used to hit right here. It used to turn that light on and off, whether or not that drop target was down or not. Now this is fixed on the HDP. So that is really, really awesome. So all I can say about this is that our bug log that we submitted to @Games as a community is working. Please continue to update the bug log from my Discord. If you need a link to that, let me know if there's games in there that you want to get fixed. We've got a list going for all the games on a Magic Pixel that need to be fixed, as well as for Zen. I'm not sure when they talk to Zen necessarily about when they do the fixes or what the patch schedule is for Zen games, but there's definitely some games to fix. I know we've seen some stuff with Charlie Brown Christmas this week with the left kickback that was talked about. Chalada Love, you did a short on it. I linked that and put that in the bug log. We've talked about Jurassic Park World with the Raptors not eating the ball. We've seen one on. You showed one as well for Chalada Love about Knight Rider. Had a bug in there as well. So there's little bugs here and there that's got to be fixed. Samurai's Vengeance is the biggest one to me that's got the biggest problem. It's an absolute game breaker. And that's something that you have to play in that game to be able to play that game. So it's been really, really difficult to. I really have not played that game since I found that break in that table, and it's been really disappointing because I really like that table quite a bit. So it's very, very difficult table, but it is what it is. So is it fixed on the 4KP? No, not yet, Soggy Bacon. They have done the fix on the HDP, and I'm waiting for to see a patch for the 4KP and the HD versions. They fixed the individual version of it right now on HDP. So what I'm guessing it needs to happen is they're going to have to fix Title Pack 2, which Chack and Pop is in, and they're going to have to do another package for that from their IT group. You know, the game is fixed. They just have to package it and then send out the update to App Store X for the 4KP, and hopefully that takes a day. I don't know. I'm hoping maybe tomorrow we'll see that. It'd be great if we get it just before the end of the tournament so people can play that game in its wonderful state before it gets done. I think Dennis had a short on Charlie Brown. Yeah, he did. The Foul Mouth tutorial was awesome. That thing is like an hour and 5 minutes. I watched it today while I was working. An awesome tutorial, Dennis, man. It's incredible, man. If you guys have not subscribed to Dennis B, his Foul Mouth tutorials, he does a wonderful job breaking down tables and going through it. And Charlie Brown Christmas is pretty complex for what it is. He talked really for about 45 minutes or so just doing the tutorial before he actually started doing gameplay on that. So a lot of stuff to think about. So Brilliant to do it during a tournament. Have some fixes, but not for everybody. Yeah, I know, Leon. Apparently, they were really trying to get that done before Flipper Friends started this week, and it was too late. It didn't quite get done. It's nice that it got done in time for the HDP folks that have the newer system, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit of a disadvantage, but I don't know. I don't know what else they could have done. Obviously, you want to get it out there as soon as you can, so that it's done and out there. But it is what it is. So this week we also have a new release. So we've got some new stuff to talk about. So here it is. Tropical Deluxe. Music is crazy. I love it. Alright, Tropical Deluxe. So if you guys have seen this before, this is a pretty fun game. I've played this on Zachariah Pinball now for probably a couple months, I would say. It's been out for a while. It's pretty cool. We'll check this out here. This is what the game pack is going to look like. It's pretty straightforward. It's a ton of flippers. You got 10 flippers on this sucker. So you could not be less enthusiastic about this release. Dennis, dude, it's actually a pretty good game. I know it looks busy, but the graphics are really good on this one. My review will go up tomorrow on this one. I'm kind of excited about this one. This one's a lot of fun. There is some good stuff on it. This is the actual play field, and you'll notice here, look at the number of flippers. I get it, man. There is a ton of flippers on this thing. There is a lower play field, just like we talked about on Ninja Turtles. That is, it's slightly dimmer on here, but the flippers are still full color. So that's kind of disappointing. The one thing I really have a problem about this table, and I know you're going to think this is silly. The one thing that I don't like about this table is this right here. See if I can get this to actuate. Come on. Right there. This flipper right here, this additional flipper. So of all 10 flippers, this is the only one that I have a problem with. This one here can actually pinch the ball, just like Black Hole does, or Haunted House. That ball can sometimes get pinched in there, and that's the only problem I have with this table. For all the flippers this table has, it plays incredibly well. There's lots of things to do. The upper playfield is really fun. You can kind of juggle the ball a little bit up there. On the lower playfield, you have to do some juggling as well to complete the tasks. It feels a little bit like Moonflight Deluxe, which is another really good Magic Pixel table that has a lower playfield. The upper playfield on that one is completely terrible, but this one's actually pretty good. Yes, Matt, 10 flippers. I know, man. I know. 10 flippers. I know. Look, I get it. Way too many flippers. BS5, I appreciate you, man. I don't know if I've seen you here before, so welcome, man. But yes, way too many flippers. All Magic Pixel tables are meh for me now. Fun games, but not inspired creativity on deluxe tables. Not a lot of replay value. Okay. One thing I will say, the only problem I have with is one... you only have a problem with 1 out of 10 flippers. Yes, Soggy Bacon. In this particular case... give this game a little bit of love. I think some of you guys will really appreciate this one. It is pretty fun. The music's good. The DMD is really good. So I know, how many times have we complained about the DMD on the new Magic Pixel tables? All the newer ones have these new updated DMDs, and they're really cool. So this one in particular looks really awesome. I think you guys in general will like this one. We'll see. It's got a dancing lady in a bikini on it. I mean, that's got to give you a point for some people. Need more flippers. It's like you need more cowbell, right, Leon? Keep hitting it, man. Pinball Wars says you should call them Magic Pixel Deluxe AI tables. They're cool, but they just feel a little bit off. I get that. There was talk a lot about the AI artwork on this one. That was talked about. I've seen some negative talks about that for sure. And then here's the actual post that we got from At Games about it. This is a modernized retake of the 1974 Tropical game, and it comes out tomorrow. This will come out at noon Eastern time. Battle remake, and this table should have a flipper fight. They absolutely could. It's funny, in this one they don't talk about flippers. A lot of times in these table highlights it'll say the number of bumpers and flippers and stuff like that. And this one it doesn't. It says there's 4 modes: beach, surf, bar, and sea, and then 4 mini games: pool, slip, seaside, and beach. No mention of flippers, no mention of the number of bumpers, any of that stuff. And then there is a tropical mode and a bay bonus challenge, which are pretty cool. So like I said, there's a lot of stuff to do on this table. So if you really dig into it, there's a lot of stuff going on in this table. You can have a lot of fun with it. So at any rate, give it a chance. Like I said, I think some people will really like it. It should be coming to Pinball.net as well. So if you guys are brand new HDP owners, you should be able to have an option to play that way as well. So that would be really awesome. Man, I've got so much to cover. I want to make sure I'm covering on everything. Okay, let's cover the let's start with a little more at games news, and then we'll get into some other stuff. So this next one is about the Pinball Micro that Soggy Bacon talked a little bit before. Pinball Wizard says they need to get back to making realistic designs. No real pinball company would put 10 flippers in a game. It's too pricey. You're right, it is too pricey, and there'd be too much repair, honestly, for that. So, all right, Pinball Micro. So the Pinball Micro this week is $289. Talk about a deal. It's been $300 for a couple weeks now between the Cyber Sale and the Black Friday sales. It's now down to $289. And they also mentioned that you can get it at a couple different ways. So I'm going to show this here. They jump over and they show it being able to be purchased in a myriad of ways, which is kind of interesting. I've never seen them do this before. Here they show it being purchased on Amazon for $2.99, and I believe that would be free shipping because it's through Amazon. Newegg does $2.99 as well. Yeah, free shipping, exactly. It shows on there as well. And then through the At Games eStore, the best deal is $2.89, but and it is free shipping for that too. So I was questioning that, whether or not that was the cheapest or not, but it is. I did a short about this system the other day. I think it's perfect for kids for Christmas. So if you're a parent and you're looking to buy something for your kid, if they go to the arcade and they love it, or if they like video games, this is a great option. It comes with 50 games on it. It says there's 140 tables and more coming. That library is almost up to 190 now. I calculate that you can get for this thing, and there's a lot more coming next year with all the new Zachariah pinball tables. So, Lieutenant Dan's legs were delivered today. Oh, you got the legs for the Micro. That's awesome, Soggy Bacon. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I know in my short I mentioned too that like I have the legs, but you don't need the legs. You can get it without. And it's actually perfect for kids because it's got those rubberized pads on the bottom of this thing. Just throw it on a table, and even little Timmy can walk up to this thing and play and just have a good old time. So that's a smoking deal. At that price, I'm almost considering a spare one. Pinball Wizard, I considered the same thing, dude. Like mine has some speaker pop that I've had to deal with over the years. I bought mine used, and so I don't know what condition it was in when I got it. It was doing okay. But I've actually considered maybe buying this as well. It's a really good deal. Great system. I love my Micro. And I know Chaotic BPR, he takes his to bed with him, believe it or not. So you can quote him on that. He's confirmed that. So just so you know, that's what he does. He takes it to bed with him. He and his wife play the Pinball Micro in the bed. So, hey, do you, man. That's all I can say. All right. Next up. One last thing, this is for the TMNT owners. So again, the Sam's Club sale is going to be is continuing on. Here they show some really good reviews that they got from the Sam's Club as far as the HDP system that came out. A new additional plans are going to be coming out. But what's interesting on here is we just heard from the Blahcade, and we're going to talk about that. We've got a good group of people here. The Zen tables were being questioned because of the way he had the conversation. There was talk about maybe Zen tables would not be coming to the platform for the HDP. That is not the case. So we did see in the manual for the HDP that Zen games were in fact going to come for the HDP, and they also reiterated it again. This was yesterday that this came out, and he says, look, as noted in the FAQs and the owner's guide, we are also preparing to bring Zen Studios pinball tables to the platform. We're working closely with Zen Studios to finalize the release schedule, and we'll share updates with the community as soon as they're available. So they are reiterating, yes, in fact, Zen games will in fact be coming to the HDP. No question. It's been written down at least 3 times now. I know there was some questions about the comments, and we're going to cover those in a bit here too. But definitely, it's coming. It's still $100 off if you want to get it before December 26th, and includes up to $500 in bonus coupons. So there's that too. So if you want to go cheap and you want to get the micro, that's an option for $289. If you want to go a little bigger, you can go with the HDP for just over $1,000. Or you can go all the way up to the 4KP for $1,700 and then choose whether or not you want the sound effects kit or not. No, select Zen tables. Absolutely. So they're talking about, there's going to be some Zen tables. I don't know which ones they're bringing over. I know that there are going to be a lot of Williams probably, but we can't speculate on that. But you're right. You did note that, Dennis B. So it's a good point to make for sure. Okay, next up. Let's talk about the Wizard Room that happened yesterday. We've talked about the Wizard Room a few different times before. Last week we talked about Flipper Battles and how amazing Flipper Battles was. This week, I didn't see this one coming. They did a competition on Pack 7 of Williams from last week. So we had Tomato Grass, Skull Joe, and Chelada Love all working and fighting on Swords of Fury, Bride of Pinball, and Whirlwind. Now these games, I tell you what, were not necessarily... Tomato Grass, I don't think he had ever played these games. He went through talking to Skull Joe and Chelada Love to start and hadn't really practiced these games, hadn't really played them. This was a rage fest between these 3 tables. They're very difficult tables. They're very Whirlwind in particular is very, very fast. Swords of Fury has that bad music right now. It's got its issues. And then Bride of Pinball, man, if you're not getting that billion shot, you're dead in the water. So this was a really fun show to watch. If you're not subscribed again to Tomato Grass in the Wizard Room, definitely check it out. A lot of fun. And I believe Chelada Love won again. So Chelada Love, look at you, man. Just keep continuing on. And you can play Tropical Deluxe on it. You can fit 10 flippers on a micro screen. Dennis B, yes, you're absolutely right. Pinball Wizard also says select Zen, yes, just like we don't have the entire Zen catalog either. No, that's right, we don't. And there's a good question to that. Everybody's still talking about the Star Wars tables. That is something I hope that they address early part of next year. We'll see. Samurai and Vern, the select tables. I hope not. Soggy Bacon. You can't just bring those 2. And then Whirlwind makes me want to throw gnomes, but I love it also. Sonic Bacon or Soggy Bacon. So, yeah, for sure, man. So this is something I've seen about Whirlwind. There was a lot of talk about the price last week about the Pack 7. Let's look at this. So Flipping Out Pinball this week on December 6th, this is a few days ago, got a restored Whirlwind pinball machine. So if you really like Whirlwind and this is something you want to play, this table right here is absolutely beautiful. It's in wonderful condition. It's been shopped and been cleaned up. $9,500 for this thing. So $9,500 for Whirlwind. And we got people complaining that it's basically a $10 game on digital. So I know that's not for everybody, and I'm not trying to make a slight of it. I am a little bit, but if you play these games even more than 10 times each, you're going to get your money's worth out of them. I know $30 is a lot more than what we were paying at $15, but man, like, this game is surprisingly rare. I don't know. I think I've played this game maybe once or twice in the wild. It's an amazing table. This table blows on you. Yes, it does, Dennis B. And stop making me say this stuff like that. Yeah, this one has that old fan on the back glass. I wish I had a picture of that in here. I know it's there, but when you get into the multi-band mode and it says "Feel the power of the wind," and the fan kicks on, first of all you're gonna smell the electric and the dust from that fan kicking you in the face because these games are all so old. But it's really cool to see. It's a really cool effect. Some of the V-pins actually do that now. They have a scoop on the bottom that actually will blow air in your face. Kind of a neat feature. But yeah, this is $9,500 for this table. So Absolutely awesome table. And yeah, they do have one at Pastimes. Incredible Arcade, 423 pins. Soggy Bacon says. Man, I'm totally with you, man. I love playing Whirlwind when I get a chance to play it. So that's a thing for sure. All right, next up, let's talk about some sales. We got some new sales coming up. We just got posted on At Games Facebook here just maybe a couple hours ago for National Owners Day. The winter celebration is coming soon. So December 12th, so this Friday, right? Friday through the 25th, they're spreading the holiday cheer with up to 70% off on hardware and software. So we've had some big software sales up to 70% the last month, on and off. We've been off the last week or so, but they're coming back. So if you didn't already get the chance to buy those games, you're going to have another opportunity. Up to 70% off. But they're also talking hardware. So they're talking control panels. They're talking about just about everything. And obviously, we just talked about the sale on the Pinball Micro. I'm not sure what other hardware they're talking about necessarily. Maybe, I'm sure they're going to talk a little about the arcades as well. But definitely the National Owners Day sale is coming. There's also an associated tournament with this coming. So I don't know, did I have a picture of that? I thought I did. So there is going to be a tournament along with this as well, which I would assume would just be... Oh, it's the stocking stuffer sale. So here's this picture here. I meant to show this as well. It's a stocking stuffer sale. It's coming out on the 12th. It's the National Owners Day sale. Same thing. But there's going to be a tournament along with this. I assume it's probably going to be stuff like the Grinch again that we've done tournaments on and stuff like that in the past. I'm hoping maybe it's some Zen tables. There was talk that maybe it would be something a little different. I know Skull Joe, you mentioned it earlier too. It's kind of uncomfortable to play in the winter. They made about 7,300 Whirlwind tables. Yeah, there's quite a few of them out there, but for some reason they're just, I don't know, they're not around me for some reason. Is there going to be a NOD tournament? There are more fun than regular Flipper Friends. Yes, there is. So there is a NOD tournament coming. I don't know the games yet. They haven't announced anything like that. But there is a tournament coming for that. I think, didn't they mention it in the... Didn't I see it here in one of these screenshots that I did? I guess not. I thought I seen it somewhere. Where did I see that? Anyway, yeah, there is going to be a NOD tournament associated with that. That is coming as well. Oh, here it is. You got leaderboard events is what they called it. So leaderboard event and lots of festive fun. Who knows? That could be anything. But there's going to be some good giveaways. I imagine there's going to be some prizes for that, just like there normally is for Flipper Friends, on top of Flipper Friends. The games for Flipper Friends this coming week are actually going to be pretty good. So that's a thing, too. But with that, I'm going to take a drink of water, and then we'll get into the elephant in the room, the big topic of the week, the Blahcade interview. Blahcade interview. Now, if you're not familiar with the Blahcade group, they do primarily VR for the most part. I've seen them do a lot of VR content. Both of them have their X arcades with the haptics kit in the background. This is Shut Your Traps and Jared Morgs. Jared Morgs is out of Australia, and I think Shut Your Trap is here in the States. So it's needed for context. So Jared, I don't believe, has a 4KP. They can't get him in Australia, I don't believe. But anyway, this is part of the interview. We're going to listen to different parts of it, and we're going to break this down because it's very important what Mel Kirk said. Mel Kirk is the COO of Zen Studios, and this interview is about 47 minutes long. They talked at length about the 25-year anniversary of Zen Studios and its elaborate history of pinball and some. They have quite a few different titles that are not pinball that they've talked about. Castle Storm is one that is not just a pinball table. I know a lot of us know it as a pinball table. But anyway, It's going to be a retro table only tournament. Dennis B, man, I hope not. I will not be playing if that's the case. If it affects my IFP rating, I got to, I guess. I am forced. But so anyway, let's take a little listen to some of the stuff being talked about here. This is later in the interview, so just for a little bit of context here. So this is about 33 minutes into the interview. They've been having a conversation primarily about VR up to this point. VR is very simple for Zen Studios. They are they're developing their games in Unreal Engine, which they've had some issues with when they went from FX2 to FX3, and again with FX3 to FX. You notice that we always lose a few games, not just to licensing, but also to conversion. It's a little hard to convert things from Unreal Engine to different versions of Unreal Engine, Unreal 2, Unreal 3, Unreal 4. Not only for Zen Studios, we've also seen this with Nintendo. Now, if you remember on the Nintendo Switch, Yoshi's Island, Crafted World, was an Unreal Engine game which actually had some weird stutters and gave Nintendo all kinds of fits. So just remember, Unreal Engine is kind of unruly. It's a little bit difficult to deal with. Beautiful engine, does a nice job, but it's definitely something to consider. Blahcade dropped the at-game subject faster than you drop a hairdresser girlfriend after Mel mentioned that it's underpowered. So we're going to talk about that. Let's jump into this and we'll listen to a little bit about... We're getting into just when he starts talking about... They're talking about the backglass here. Backglass integration with Scared Stiff and Bonsai Run, and then we're going to go from there.
Or does it do what it does in Flatball, where it, the screen basically slides up, but it still stays on that lower portion. So I imagine in VR it's going to play just the same thing with like what Elvira Scared Stiff in the spinning wheel, where it was up there where it should be. Are we in the ballpark of where that would kind of go, idea-wise?
Yeah, I think so. I don't have the design in front of me per se, but I think that those are sometimes what makes a table be a higher lift, and we end up spending more time in development.
Okay, so his comment there is games with the integrated backglass have been a heavier lift. So he is exactly right. We've seen that on the at-game side. They're specifically talking about VR here. They were talking about Bonsai Run, how it would look in VR with the backglass. And he wouldn't even confirm that Bonsai Run would come to VR, first of all. He didn't confirm that either. But he even didn't confirm that it would be on the backglass for that. I think it will be, but it's definitely something to consider. But he's talking about how difficult it is for Zen Studios to have to do that additional code work to have backglass integration anywhere. We're not even talking about at games yet. They're still talking about VR. We're just now getting into at games, and they're going to talk about this here. So, all right, here we go.
Need to figure out like the mini games and backglass games like that. So, I don't know what the answer is, honestly.
Okay. And where that slides into at games, I know everybody was anticipating with Scared Stiff, okay, is this going to be the first time Zen puts up an animated thing on the backglass with the spinner, and instead it just still stayed down low, much like it would be if you were just playing cabinet mode in Pinball Effects. Is there still too many limitations with the at games? Okay,
notice he's leading him here. He's already said, is there still too many limitations with that game? So he's already kind of feeding him what he wants to hear. I don't like to. I wish he would have worded this a little differently, but he led him with the thought of that it's underpowered. We all know it's underpowered, but Mel's going to speak to that, and he's going to confirm, yes, what this guy is saying, Shut Your Traps is saying, is yes, it is underpowered. But here's the wording, and really watch the body language here. It's really important.
Hardware in terms of how much bandwidth that would use to do that, or is it just there's not really seeing a desire to make that backglass functional?
So right there, you notice he even kind of stabs at Mel Kirk here a little bit and says, "Is that even worth doing, or is it too much of an ask?" Like I feel like that's kind of pointed, right? He kind of stuck him with and said, "Hey, is this too much work for you guys?" I'm kind of interested in some of that wording.
It's a big question.
Big sigh.
Fair enough.
I mean, The hardware spec is public. Everybody knows what kind of hardware is in At Games 4KP. It's underpowered, in my opinion.
Okay.
In our opinion, I would say, like, just look. We're not even running 4K games. You know, I was like, and they knew this when we started making the machine. We told them what kind of performance we were going to get and what the limitations would be. So I would say at that is the number. That's the holdup. You know.
Okay.
All right, so he's saying flat out, it's underpowered. That's the holdup. They don't want to do additional work to get the black gas integration. I think that's just kind of how it is. They did talk to the fact that we with At Games talked about creating the 4KP. So there was definitely a conversation between the partnership between At Games and Zen Studios about the system, and Zen Studios basically told them, it's going to be underpowered. We're going to struggle to do what we claim we're going to be able to do. So he confirmed that. So that is true. We know that the 4KP with the Rock chip only has 8 gigabytes of RAM. That is pretty low for what Zen Studios would have had to try to kick out 4K visuals with. So we all know that that's a thing, right? All right. So with that, they're saying it's underpowered. They agree there was a partnership for sure. Anyway. 100%, Ben. I get the active backglass talk on the 4KP, but I'm about to give up those handful of tables to get the remainder of the Zen catalog 10 out of 10 times. I totally agree with you on that, for sure. It's what I've been thinking, too, that the 4KP just isn't capable of backglass integration. It's just not enough power. He basically said it barely runs Zen tables. You're so right, Ben. Let's keep going.
Yeah,
Another aspect that you had mentioned last time we talked to you, you had said that there was potential for interactivity that you guys were pushing for with At Games for the year of 2025. Other than product releases, I don't really think any of that happened.
First of all, what is that? Integration activities other than product. I don't know what that is. So I'm completely in the dark about what Zen Studios would do with At Games other than pinball tables. I'm thinking maybe it was some type of tournament schedules. Maybe it was multiplayer. They don't give you any details about that. So it's kind of interesting there. There's definitely some stuff there for sure.
Is there still the desire, is there still some things that you guys are thinking that can potentially be added into the platform on Zen's end?
Potentially. The potential is there. I think, they've recently released this new HDP.
Yes.
Okay, so here he goes right to the HDP. He says, yes, there's some possibility for some new integrations, and then starts to talk about the HDP. So, the context you need to hear is that right now the 4KP, as far as sales, contributes to about 10% of total At Game sales for pinball. I would have thought that number would have been way bigger, because almost everybody in this community is like a 4KP owner, seems like. There's not a lot of HD owners. I know, Leon, you're one of the HD owners still. But there's a lot of 4K owners that are in this community. We're super hardcore about our pinball. But he's switching gears here, and he's going to talk about the HDP. What's interesting here is that they're going to talk about the fact that the 4KP now, with this context, you think the 4KP is only 10% of the user base using Zen tables. Zen Studio, or At Games, is going to have to find a way to get more people to play those Zen tables. But most of those people are not going to spend $2,000 on a V-Pin in At Games to be able to play the Zen tables. So they've come up with the HDP to be able to get a 1080p device that can play Zen tables with the exact same Rock chip to be able to play them. So this is going to be Mel Kirk's reaction to the HDP. Very interesting wording here. But again, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater here. Listen to what he says.
And I think they're interested in having us support that.
Let's back up just a second.
Potentially be added into the platform on Zen's end?
Potentially. The potential is there. I think, they've recently released this new HDP.
Yes.
And I think they're interested in having us support that. Yeah, I don't know. We're going to figure out what 2026 will look like with at games, and I don't have a lot to say right now, though.
Okay, so he shut it down right there. So there's a lot of stuff being talked about. To me, I think this is more legal speak than anything. He says, yeah, they just came out with this HDP. They want us to support it. I mean, I don't see anything too terrible wrong with that. I know a lot of people have had really strong reactions to his body language here. But remember, this is you're about 35, 40 minutes into this interview. We've talked about VR, which is easy. Zen Studios kicks out Zen tables, or Zen Studios is going to be able to kick out those VR tables. It's in their engine pretty easily. And when he talks about the HTP, he's like, well, they're creating this new system, right? They want us to support that too. Okay. All that means is they're going to have to retweak those games again, right, to get them to sell. So there is a little bit of a frustration point there, I think, that he's talking about is, yeah, we tried to do what they wanted. They as Zen Studios wanted to do 4KP. They talked to At Games, and At Games couldn't provide the hardware that was strong enough to do what Zen Studios wanted to do. I think that's pretty straightforward. We've all talked about that, right? It seems pretty clear they wanted to do something a little bit stronger so that they could do 4K visuals for Zen Studios games. At Games, for the price, could not do it. Then we had tariff pricing, right? Tariff pricing made everything go up basically $500, sometimes even more. So it made it even worse than it already was. So now the HDP folks, from the At Games folks, have swung in and said, look, we need more of our fan base. More than 10% of our fan base needs to be able to buy Zen tables. The 4KP is not going to sell particularly well going forward. It's just too expensive, especially with tariff pricing, and prices are not coming down because of the tariffs, let me tell you. So they released the HDP. Yes, it means that Zen Studios is, again, going to have to go back to the drawing board, and they're going to have to tweak those games just a little bit again, down to 1080p, to get them to 60 FPS. But the fact is they're going to have to work on the same thing they've already worked on for the last almost 2 years. So yes, there is some frustration there. Is it a problem? I don't think so. Zen Studios are still going to make bank on those games coming to the HDP. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think there's definitely a partnership. They're definitely going to come. At Games has said it now 3 times in the last 2 months since the HDP has come out, the Zen Studios games are in fact coming to the HDP. So let's put that to rest. They are coming. Let's continue.
No worries. Less than slide on over to a couple of other things that were mentioned last year.
Okay, this part's where he gets into Pinball M. Pinball M is not coming to VR. This is something that he talked about briefly. Because of meta rules, he's not going to be able to do Pinball M on VR. So that's a very important thing as well. Also, if you guys have not listened to this entire interview, I did put a link to this in the description of this video. So definitely check it out if you want to hear everything verbatim. Definitely check it out. I'm an aspiring nerd in training. Sounds like it's the only option we have to play those tables. Why can't the 8 gigs be expanded? We're all nerds here, Soggy Bacon. I completely agree. I would love to see us be able to add 16 gigabytes to this thing and just swap it out, or 32 for that matter. Would it make the flipper latency better? It'd be really interesting to see. Billy Woods Mods, why haven't you done this? I haven't seen him in the chat, but it may be underpowered, but you could have fooled me. Even Zen, at least at less than 4K play, looks and plays really good. BS5, you are absolutely correct. Even at 1440p or even 1260p, Zen tables look and play fantastic on this system. There is a little bit of flipper lag, though. That's the biggest problem that we're seeing. Playing on the HDP, I've found that games play a lot faster, and I think there's less flipper latency. I have not been able to confirm that, though. And obviously, I haven't played any Zen tables on it. So until I get some Zen tables on it, I won't know for sure. I would love to do a comparison side by side. Give me a game with a really high latency like a Roadshow and let me put them side by side and really dig in to see what that would do. I would love to see it. Next up, let's jump. They're going to talk. This is some exciting news. Title teases.
I think it could happen in 2027.
Yeah, very good.
There's a lot of the end of the tunnel.
Okay.
Other titles, one of them was a mean tease, and everybody was mad that I didn't follow up on it with your
NBA Fast Break.
NBA Fast Break. So it wouldn't be one of these things unless I mentioned that in roller games.
We're gonna try to get NBA Fast Break. It's not a 2026. Okay, but okay. I think it could happen in 2027.
Yeah.
Who's excited about that? NBA Fast Break. I mean, they talk about some licensing issues here because a lot of the players are retired. And you got to deal with the NBA Players Association to get that done. But he says it's about as difficult as Indiana Jones. But it's probably coming in 27, not in 26, but definitely in 27. Sounds like. So that's awesome news, man.
Which we found in Europe, which is coming to the studio. A very good one that we've been trying to get a long time.
Okay, and then the other stuff he talks about here too, and I'll cut back to the spot here. This interview is really awesome. It is very, very lengthy. They do this interview basically once a year with Mel Kirk, and he does a fantastic job. I wish he wasn't as leading in some of the conversation. I wish that they would talk a little more about at-games, to be honest. They talked a lot about VR, but Shut Your Traps and Jared Morgs are very VR-centric. They have their X arcades behind them. I don't know how much they play at games. I know Shut Your Trap plays a lot more at games than Jared Morgs, for example. But definitely. And then, or we can play VPX. Yeah, you talk about that too, Dennis B. NBA Fast Break is great. I played it on through external applications. It plays great. He just seems a little low energy. Maybe a Red Bull or some whiskey before the interview. Maybe he just had a long day. So what I didn't show that. Mel Kirk did mention that he's been doing a lot of travel. So I mentioned that too. I think Pinball Wizard, you and I talked about that a little bit too. I think Mel Kirk he's been going to Hungary a lot for travel and for curating these newer tables. They talk about Cactus Canyon. I think that's going to happen. They talked about T2 last time. I think that's going to happen. They talked about NBA Fast Break. I think that's going to happen. He briefly mentions Congo. I think Congo's going to happen. He even said that Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Starship Troopers, a lot of those could happen, and he says some of them are for sure happening. We don't know which ones, of course, but he is definitely talking in some really cool titles. So I definitely think Cactus Canyon's going to come this year in 26. I'd love to see F-14 Tomcat. I think if everybody's kind of forgot about that one, maybe High Speed would be a good one. One of the interesting parts about this interview, though, is they did mention that they now have the ability to curate their own tables. So if they need to purchase a table to be able to have it in Hungary, to be able to do the scans and stuff for it, they can do that now. They could not do that before. So they were having trouble getting the tables in Europe to be able to do that. So that's really good news. He also talked that there's some incredible news coming in 2026 that if it happens will be as big as Star Wars and or Marvel coming to Zen Pinball. So what is that? What does that mean? Who knows? We do know that Warner Brothers just got bought, and that could be some opportunities there. Who knows? There's going to be some really interesting stuff that comes out of this. So we'll pay for a hardware upgrade for the 4KP. I know people would do it. We'll sell our least favorite children or our wives. Are you listening at games? I know. Soggy bacon. I know. We want what we want. That would be interesting. Would love to see the Zen tables that we're getting lately for sure with latency. Haven't been able to... And they haven't been publishing latency like they used to. Yes, that's right, Pinball Wizard. They have not. I do find that some of the newer tables play pretty fast. So I think maybe they found their level. I did find it interesting that only Swords of Fury was 1440p this time. Most other Zen tables have been 1260p with regularity. Really, for the last 2 or 3 packs have been 1260p as far as resolution goes. So I thought that was a little interesting. It is what it is. But there's definitely there's a lot of good things happening And I still think that Star Wars is going to happen. I still think there's, but we've confirmed the HDP is going to get Zen tables. It says select Zen tables. It doesn't mean all of them. That could mean all Williams, for example. It might mean Zen originals like we've gotten so far. We'll see. That's because the guy just got let go by At Games. I don't know, man. I don't know. It is interesting to talk about. I mean, there's some really good stuff. I think they were already selling the 4KPs at a loss to close the break even, hoping to cash in on software sales for the existing fan base. Soggy Bacon, similar to past released home consoles. My biggest concern from the interview is the lack of enthusiasm from Mail towards At Games. The effort seems like it's not really worth the payoff for Zen. I don't know, man. That's the real tricky part. I mean, with the prices being what they are now, I would think that Zen is going to receive more of that money, and they've made it worth it to Zen table for Zen to continue the partnership into the foreseeable future. When you look at the pricing model versus At Games versus VR, for example, the tables are half price now. Now that they've doubled the prices on At Games for the Zen tables, you can get them cheaper on VR, but it's not the same experience. I mean, for me, I would way bet more, like, I would rather play on the 4KP way more than the VR system. Now, that's not everybody. I know there's people that absolutely adore VR. Mikey Yoon is one. Jabba's one. And there's a lot of people who really love VR. Even Papa Brad, he loves VR. I'm not a huge proponent of it. I do like it. But I just don't feel... I don't like being isolated into the helmet, into the goggles for that, for me. But Warner Brothers and DC, that Leon could be it. Maybe it's Superman. Maybe it's... Yeah, that could be great. Warner Brothers could be... what if we got a Mortal Kombat? Right? I mean, if you get Warner Brothers, you can get Lego. They do all the Lego games. You could get some Mortal Kombats. You could get some games like that. I just don't think it's the hardware limitations because Pup Packs work on a VPX standalone. Got to be that At Games releases a new hardware upgrade kit, hopefully. Way too fast for you. Interesting part about that is that VPX, a lot of the resolution are very low. They're much lower than what you're seeing for a lot of the games on native games. So the resolution definitely could go down further to get better quality games. In Pup Packs, I mean, I don't know. It's really interesting that Pup Packs run pretty well, honestly, on the 4KP, considering the chip. But it is interesting to say that. Have you put a like on the stream? If not, do it. Soggy Bacon, you got me to read that again. Sorry about that, man. For me, $10 a table is still okay. PG, I'm with you, man. As we talked about with Whirlwind, that's a $9,000 table. So if I have to pay $30 for 3 tables that I'm gonna play for more than, if you play any table for more than 3-4 hours, you've made your money. It costs you $2 for 3 credits for a normal pinball machine in the wild nowadays. So you're gonna make your money in no time. It's just a matter of that, to be quite honest. If Zen isn't getting any of the price hike, maybe they're salty about it. Wingo. You gotta consider that they're getting some of that money. They gotta be, right? I mean, Zen Studios is doing all the code work to get it to work. They're gonna have to do all the patches. We've talked about patchwork that they're gonna have to do. We need to start locking them into some type of a patch schedule. To get some of their games patched up. There's going to be stuff here and there that doesn't quite work quite right. We've seen it on Magic Pixel. We've seen it on Magic Castle Deluxe, had to be patched. We've seen it on Chack and Pop. That one just got fixed. We're going to need to start seeing those patches on Zen tables too. We got the John Williams music on Jurassic Park, but we didn't get the fix for the game. So that was disappointing. So how many years are left on the 4KP? Just like console, and an upgrade happens every few years, Mad Ben. Console life cycle is going to be interesting for that. You're You're absolutely right. What does that mean? Is it going to be 5 years before they come out with another 4KP that has a seriously bigger chip? Do they try again? In 5 years, are we going to be spending $4,000 for a new 4KP that can play everything in 4K? I don't know. Will people just give up on AtGames altogether and go for a VPN, pay the $10,000 and just get everything? It's interesting. Or do you just say screw it and you go to a real pinball machine? That's an option too. As of right now, you can get a real pinball machine used for about $4,000. If you go 5 or 6, you can get into a used Stern pretty easily. You could get a Jurassic Park. You could get a Ninja Turtles. You could get a Sword of Rage, Black Knight, Mandalorian, Stranger Things. Now, if you want to get a Jersey Jack or something, yeah, you're going to be spending $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, $12,000 sometimes for those. But honestly, just needs higher RAM, right? I think you're right. Way too fast for you. I think it is really the RAM that's hurting it right now more than anything. SD tables with the pup packs, yawn. Leon, I totally get it, man. Show me a video where Mel is really excited like a regular person and I'll buy your next pack. Mr. Legends Arcade. You are absolutely right. First of all, this guy is a COO, right? He's a busy man, okay? He's got his comfortable sweatshirt on. He finished a long day. He probably just got back from Hungary. And they're doing this interview. I don't blame the guy at all. First of all, and I mentioned this to Pinball Wizard too. I was talking with him about this. This guy is supporting 9 platforms for pinball right now. 9. That's that many, folks. If you had to support 9 different platforms for pinball, how big would your stress be? Now, granted, I think they're doing really well. They've expanded their team. They're continuing to pump out games. A simple board swap. Hey, I don't know. We could do whatever we want mod-wise on these systems, but it's not going to make AtGames be able to support 4K games from Zen. They can't do that unless they themselves do that. Unless they offer that solution, we're not going to get that upgraded system. It's just not possible. So the 4KP was the high end of what I could afford. PG, I financed mine PG. I'll be honest. I paid $2,200 for mine at the time, and it was pricey. It took me a year and a half. I mean, I paid for it almost $200 for a year to pay it off. It was expensive, so I'd pay $4,000 or $5,000 for a 4KP that's with a future-proofed chip. I still like my 4KP more than I love my Jersey Jack Guns N' Roses, which I love a lot. Wow. That's a big statement, Soggy Bacon. But I'm with you, man. The digital pinball is awesome because of the variety, the fact that you can turn down the volume, you can play it different ways. There's a lot of good there. Way Too Fast for You says a CPU RAM combo all in one small board. I'm with you, man. I think we could do it. But AtGames is going to have to provide that solution to us to make it work. Pinball Wizard says, except that they might not be as simple as they want. They don't want it to be replacing parts because people break stuff when digging in and trying stuff. You're right. I mean, there's going to be... They initially said that they were going to do that with the HD. They were going to provide a chip to upgrade it. As you remember, they did pre-orders for that. And then they took it away and said, no, we're not going to do that. We're just going to provide you a 4KP. We've got this new chip. We're going to use it that way. And then they underpowered it and disappointed Zen in the process. So, thing is AtGames goes, if they failed for whatever, I'd still be able to play my Jersey Jack Guns N' Roses. You're not wrong, Soggy Bacon, but remember, you're going to be paying for maintenance on that thing. It's going to break. You already had issues the day you got it. So, and I've seen... if you guys follow Retro Ralph, he just got the Walking Dead remastered. He's already had so many issues with that thing. The code was wrong. He had to fix that. Now he's swapping out the Spike 3 board on it, and he's had it like a week. So real pinball does not, just spending the money does not solve your problems. It just gives you bigger problems. So. Of the 9 platforms, which would you guess is the biggest pain in the butt?
for Mel Kirk and Zen Studios, the biggest one, it's probably the biggest pain in the butt. I honestly believe, and I could be wrong with this, Dennis B, but I would venture to say that I bet you mobile is probably the biggest pain in the butt, just because you're having to adjust so much to accommodate all the different versions of Android and iOS, plus all the aspect ratios of all the phones. I would think it'd be mobile. At games is probably a number 2. Consoles are pretty straightforward. They've been doing consoles forever. They don't change only every 5 years or so. So I think consoles are pretty straightforward. VR is straightforward. It's a locked in. Now it's a mobile chipset, so that's pretty easy. But the problem there, he mentioned with Meta, is that you can't do Pinball M. He did say that there's more Pinball M tables coming, so that's kind of cool. It's a good question. Not heard if you heard the scoop, but online player v player play on at games was in the works. Yeah, I heard that too. Wave too fast for you. I think they killed that. They even have friends on at game systems. They just haven't utilized it yet. I'd love to see that. I don't know. I think there's still a lot in the works coming from at games that we don't know yet. I think there's a lot of good stuff coming that we just don't know about yet. I really think that Star Wars is going to turn the corner. Those are going to start to come out. I'm very optimistic. Let's put it that way. I'm very optimistic. There's a lot of stuff coming. I still think that there could be some more players in the pinball world, not just Zachariah and At Games, or not just Zen Studios and Zachariah. I'd like to think that there's more players out there. Maybe Farsight comes back. Maybe Data East creates something. Maybe Gottlieb gets reborn in some capacity. I would like to think that there's a third player somewhere. I don't know what that's going to look like. Hoping for more Pinball M for the 4KP. Me too, Soggy Bacon. I'm totally with you, man. And stop complaining, you guys, about needing to buy another machine sometime. Most of us have more than one computer game cabinet, and you don't guess which. Now you'll have 2 pinball machines. Yeah, that's true. Upgrades are cool and all, but I'd love for At Games to give me a good reason to buy a new machine in a couple of years. That's fair enough. I would too. I'd be honest. I would definitely buy another one. Now, for you people that already have the 4KP, there's no sense in buying the HDP unless it's an absolute, unless the latency is absolutely amazing. I don't know anybody who's going to get rid of their 4KP, or they would just keep their 4KP and buy an HDP. I honestly cannot wait to see the HDP playing Zen tables just to see how they play. That's going to be a big thing for sure. So anyway, that's the conversation when it comes to the Blahcade interview. Definitely give that channel a like and watch that video throughout. There's a lot of good information in there. They do that interview once a year, and it is fantastic. So I listened to it last year, and there was so much information to pull out of there. Just definitely, it's worth a watch. So definitely give it a watch. Madman Han says, head-to-head on the 4KP would be great. Hoping that happens in 26. Me too, man. If you guys have been paying attention to Zachariah Pinball on Steam, they are doing PvP now. You can do spectating, up to 4 players on the pinball table. It is awesome to be able to watch somebody else play the table, and then you play, and you can do tournament styles. It's an awesome platform. You can do OTG on your 4KPs, and presumably your HDP as well if you buy the external applications. The external... it's external applications and OTG. They come together for the $100 on the HDP. You can buy that too. But yeah, Zachariah Pinball has got some really cool stuff going on. I think they're kicking out a ton of games. I think I read somewhere they put out 40 new pinball tables this year in 2025. So, and they got a lot more coming in 2026. I'm telling you, they're killing it right now. So, you got to believe they're going to start doing more complex tables. I got to believe they're going to do more complex stuff. I think those are going to come to the 4KP as well. And remember, they are using a proprietary programming system. So they can kick out games in 4KP that are 3D rendered and they run really, really well on the Rock chip as is. The biggest problem Zen Studios has had is using that Unreal Engine having not convert things very cleanly, and that's been a big issue for them. I like to think that the problem is more on Zen Studios' side and having to convert them down than on AtGame's side being underpowered, but clearly the RAM is definitely a bottleneck for sure. 8 gigs of RAM is pretty low, especially nowadays. Looking back, I think if they had done 16, they would have made their life a lot easier, and the price would have been nothing in the long run. So, love to do tournaments. The ability to do tournaments on device with a friends list. Oh man, you're not kidding, man. Is the HDP better than the 4K in any way except price? Wingo, that's a tough question. I will say, like I said, I think the HDP has better latency. I can't confirm it yet, but it feels really, really fast to me. It plays really clean. I think the flipper latency is lower. I really like the HDP. The 1080p panel does not bother me at all. I like my 4KP. Don't get me wrong. I love the 4KP, but if you don't see them side by side, you don't really think about the graphic upgrade. Honestly, I don't. It's you will notice it, obviously, if you're looking at them side by side like I do. I got them 2 feet apart. You're going to notice a difference. But yeah, basically the daily grind, but built into our machines. Yeah, absolutely, that'd be awesome. And I think they could do that even with the current scoring schedules if they would just do it. I think if they would just do a daily tournament for a game or so, they could do it the same way we do in the daily grind. And what a segue that is. We're going to talk about the daily grind right here, right now. Let's jump over. All right. So let's talk about this. So this is the daily grind leaderboard for this week. We had an awesome number of games this week. We played Creature from the Black Lagoon for the VR table. Jabba and Dennis B both had over 1 billion points on the Creature from the Black Lagoon. So clearly they know what they're doing on that table. For the VPX tables this week, we played Cactus Canyon and Punch-Out! And so there's awesome scores in there. Chalada Love is killing it in the VPX world. Played some really good tables. Punch-Out! I did not get a chance to download, but I did play Cactus Canyon quite a bit. I love that table so much. Cannot wait for it to come natively to the 4KP. Absolutely love that table. It's so good. Time for the Wagner test, like latency test, HDP versus 4K. Saki Bacon, I would love to see that, quite frankly. RTX will sell the daily grind name to them for $100,000. Absolutely not. Yeah, sure, maybe. Absolutely, Pinball Wizard. It's been the daily grind has gone over really well, I gotta say. So this gap here was when we had our release day for the Pack 7, so that was last Wednesday. And then since then, we've played Taxi, Bride of Pinbot, Swords of Fury, Whirlwind, Back to the Future, Trolls, and today's was Knight Rider. So these are the games you guys are playing. The scores are absolutely insane. Look at Dennis B on Bride of Pinbot. Had 3 billion points. He got that billion shot 3 different times. Amazing scores across the boards here, guys. I was so thrilled. The participation has been fantastic for this tournament, so I really appreciate everybody coming out and playing these games. Jabba, it looks like you might be picking tomorrow's table. You got another half hour or so to anybody to knock him off for 271 million on Knight Rider. It is a really hard table, though, so if you're not already in that process of beating it, yeah, you're probably not going to make it, but Soggy Bacon, do you have VR? I don't think Soggy Bacon does. No, I know Dennis B does, and I know Jabba does. There's been some others. Punch-Out! Is great. You got to try it. I got to do it, man. I haven't downloaded it yet. Looking to join the grind on VPXS and VE in the next week or so. Awesome, Soggy Bacon. That's awesome, dude. We'll get you in there. Meta 2, not the best system. Okay, so you have Meta 2. Yeah, it's not as good on that, So these scores will all be wiped out after tonight, and we'll start another grind. It looks like Chalada Love will be picking 2 more tables for VPX for next week. And then Jabba, with any luck, will be picking us a VR table for this week too. So Haven't given it much of a shot, Soggy Bacon. Oh, for VR on your system. So okay. Well, thank you guys. We've gone an hour and 24 minutes, but this was a really interesting conversation. We had a very difficult week talking about that Blahcade interview. There was a lot to unpack there. I hope I did it some justice. I hope you have some reassurance that the HDP will in fact get Zen tables. I'm hoping that it becomes everything that they say it's going to be. I actually have some hope for it that the latency is going to be a little better than the 4KP, to be honest. And with all the new owners buying HDPs around Christmas, and I would love to see this community continue to expand. We're seeing that already in the Flipper Friends tournament numbers. There's 130 new people just this week. Those numbers continue to go up. So we'll see what happens. But it's been a fantastic week again for digital pinball, and we continue to do it. Leon, oh man, thank you so much for the $20, Leon. That's really awesome, man. I wish someone would pick a Zen table every now and then to grind on. That's what we did. Someone would pick something other than a Zen table. No, you're saying you want to have a Zen table, Leon. I thought you only had HD. So that's funny, man. It's pretty funny that you say that. So, Wingo, thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate you. We'll see you next time. Thanks for the show. Enjoy the holidays, guys. I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much for that, Leon. We're gonna stop there. I know I've probably exhausted all of you. Let's get after it. We'll have another great week of the Daily Grind, and we'll have a new table to play tomorrow, Tropical Deluxe. So we'll start with that one. I think we'll probably take tomorrow off as far as the Daily Grind goes, and we'll start it up again on Friday. So, Soggy Bacon, come on, man. You guys, another $20. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate you. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It was a lot of time to prep this one. A lot going on this week. We had a terrible snowstorm today, which kind of threw everything on the wayside. So, it is what it is. But thank you so much for watching, guys. We will see you next time. We'll see you for the Flipper Friends on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock if you guys are interested in watching me play some pinball again. And I'll be streaming Tropical Deluxe as well tomorrow, and my review for the game will also be up this week too. So be on the lookout for that. If you haven't already purchased a micro, now is the time. Definitely get it for Christmas. Hopefully you can get it by Christmas time if you buy it for your kids. And with that, remember, you only need one ball for greatness. So keep plunging, and we'll see you next time, guys. Thanks so much. Goodbye.